And welcome back, Fourth and Long fans. It's your footy correspondent, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFLW round review. And ladies and gentlemen, I teased it last week and I come through. You know that. I have a very, very special guest coming to me all the way from Melbourne, Mrs. Marnie Vinal. Marnie, it is so great to chat with you. We hooked up on Twitter. I'm so glad that you've come to join me this week.
Thank you. I'm so stoked to be here. I can't wait to chat footy.
Awesome. So before we get into the AFLW, I think I've got a lot of people that watch these podcasts that are Australian that may not know who you are. And I know that you do some sports writing. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about what you do and what's your connection to the AFLW?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a freelance sports writer and reporter. And I'm ESPN's dedicated AFLW writer for this season. So that's very exciting. So every week I have a column on ESPN. Please go and check it out if that's up your alley. And then I also jump on the ESPN Footy podcast every week. So right into AFLW for, the few months that's on. Otherwise, you can find me in places like, Australian publications like The Age and our version of The Guardian, ABC News, things like that. I'll just pop up here and there with some analysis and my hot takes.
And awesome. And they are great hot takes. She sent me her article last week. It was incredible. And I'm going to continue to push on her to continue sending me the articles because I think they were absolutely great writing. I definitely approve of it. So, but I think let's jump into it. Round 2 is over. Some craziness with 2 games canceled, the change of games, and we get a change that I will kind of do a fancy name for just here in a little bit. So we'll jump right into it. First game of the round sees an absolutely cracking match that I absolutely could not wait for. I was so glad that I had my membership all set and ready so I could watch this game. The Melbourne Demons take down the Richmond Tigers 54-38, a 16-point win by the D's, but the Tigers made an impressive performance against a very good D's team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are 2 of the most exciting teams this competition. Melbourne flag favourites, and they're proving why. And then Richmond are really just rising up those ranks. Last season, they were kind of finding their feet. And then when they started to win, they kept it going. And they are just so thrilling to watch. Even when they lose in games like this, only by 16 points, they're still such a dynamic and exciting team to watch. And they gave Melbourne a bit of a scare, especially in that first quarter, 2 goals very quickly. I think Tessa Levy had it in the first minute. So we love a goal in the first minute. Is there anything more exciting, honestly? But then Melbourne did just outmatch them, from about the second quarter onwards. The Demons just had it in their control. They were just upper rank from a team, and they've got so much depth across the board. Wherever you look on the field, you're going to see a star or you're going to see one rising. And when we talk about a star rising, it's hard not to mention who I think is the MVP of that game, which was Alyssa Bannon. She got a Rising Star nomination from that round. I think that clip that's just been going round and round on social media, she was handballed the ball around the centre. And then she just took off. She got on her bike. You could not chase her. She looked like she was unhumanly fast and then just got the goal from it. It was thrilling. I'm so excited about Melbourne. And their ability in the forward to just take marks and get goals really sets them just a step above all the other teams, I think.
100% agree. Usain Bolt, eat your heart out. I loved that running goal. And for her, and she kind of burned Daisy Pearce. Like you gotta give her a little bit of credit to have the cojones to take that shot, because if she misses it, she's going to get the wrath of Daisy Pearce, who was all alone in the goal square. So her slotting that shot was absolutely fantastic. And she's so athletic. She's so quick. She rounds out that D's team so well, and they're just so deep. I mean, you bring in, you have Daisy Pearce, you bring in Taylor Harris, who I think had another really good game, crashing packs, taking out Tigers players in the process. It was an incredible game, but this Richmond Tigers team, the scary part about them is that they're not 100% right now. The fact that Ellie McKenzie's not there. I mean, Mon Conti, there's not enough superlatives to talk about this young lady. There's just not. She gets the ball and everything slows down. It's like slow motion to her. It's absolutely fantastic to watch her. The young depth, seeing the Hosking twins back together. I know some people were like, they liked it. They were apart. They could set, but I love them together because they work so well together. They're such a great duo that I absolutely fantastic that they are in Tigerland. Richmond is my team that I think of the 6 teams that made the finals last year. I was pretty sure all of them will make it. This is the one team that I see potentially being that dark horse to get in. They got to stay healthy. They got to win a few games, but they're going to be fun to watch for sure. I absolutely love the Richmond Tigers. Let's jump to the next game of the round. Sees the Collingwood Magpies take down the St. Kilda Saints 41-14. And I hate saying this. I feel so sorry for this St. Kilda team because they're completely missing those 2 young superstars in the middle. They don't have that zest out of the midfield that they've had that they had last year.
Yeah, I was actually at that game in a Saints scarf. So you're speaking to the right person, giving your sympathies the right way. It was, I think the Saints social media, their Twitter account tweeted at 3/4 time, 3 down, 1 to go. And that was just very much the mood of the Saints. They were just struggling. This season, it's a working one. It's a developing one. They've got to invest in their young players and push them through because at the moment, they're just not at that competitive level that the other teams are at. And they did go against a hard team. The Pies are one of the best that we've seen this season. I know it's only round 2, but they're flag favourites. They're proving why. And to go up against this team like that is a tough matchup, but you're going to have to do that, in the season. So yeah, my sympathies to the Saints as well. And I like them. I really love the Saints. It breaks my heart a little bit to see them just struggle so much. But Collingwood, I think, and we just talked about Richmond and Monconti and some of these key players that really are so pivotal to their team's success. Collingwood had some of their key players out and you never would have noticed. They were so dominant. They had both their co-captains out for different injury reasons. They had their absolute star in Chloe Molloy out. Therefore, you could not tell them. Their mid did not look depleted. Their forward line did not look depleted. They just cruised all over the Saints. And the absentees meant that other players could really show off their own star power, which is so exciting. Jambi, Lambert and Britt, they just stepped up in the midfield. And Imogen Barnett, she debuted. She was the VFLW leading goal kicker, I believe, last season. And she's going to be such a pivotal goal scorer, I feel, for this team in the forward. And to have a chance to have a run around was so exciting to see. I think the Pies are really going to do some damage this season.
It's hard to see these first 2 things and to not imagine a Pies Adelaide grand final, just all the superstar power that's in that game. And like I said, yes, Bree Davy goes down in that first week, but I agree. This is the Collingwood team that I had said in some of my reviews. I said, this is the only team of the 3 that I think that could absorb their loss, their big superstar loss, and not take a step back. I think they're actually going to be even. Now, are they better without her? There's nobody in the world, watching AFLW with a sane mind is going to say that Collingwood is better without Bree Davy. You're never going to hear that. But I think they can absorb her loss and to see them win a game with Chloe Molloy out, with Bree Davy out, with Steph Kiochi out, with some of these superstar players, that shows the depth of this Collingwood team. Legitimately, they're there in that conversation with Adelaide and with Melbourne, that it's kind of scary to think that you've got a 3-headed monster at the top of this competition. It's what other 3 teams get the luxury of making the finals this year, because unless injuries galore happen, those 3 teams are the 3 teams I really see battling for a flag at the end of this season. Let's jump to the next one. Because of COVID chaos, and it's hard to argue that it isn't, the Brisbane Lions and the Western Bulldogs both were unable to play. So the AFL quickly, thankfully, were able to get a makeshift game between the Geelong Cats and the Carlton Blues. And I'm so thankful that this happened because I could finally use it. The Prosparkus Cup happens in the first year. When Georgie was drafted, that was the first thing I kept telling a lot of people is I want to see these two sisters play each other. And when the matchups came out, I was like, oh no, they're not playing each other. Collingwood and Carlton and Geelong are not playing each other. So there is no way I'm going to thank COVID, but AFLW, thank you for giving us this absolute matchup because it was an incredibly good game. The older sister gets the win as Carlton gets the win both on the field and in the stat book as Maddie Prasparkas and the Carlton Blues get the win 31-17 over the Geelong Cats. But it's hard not to say Georgie held her own in this game, even taking a nice little shot in the nose a little bit, having to go off for the blood rule. So an incredible game of footy where Geelong shows their scrappiness. They're not going to go away this year.
This game felt like such an event. It was such a joy to watch. I feel like social media was just alight with the Prasparkas Cup, and they even had an actual Prasparkas Cup to give Maddie at the win. And it was just the needed boost that we need. And my sympathies and my best to the Lions and also the Western Bulldogs. It's not pleasant to have to go down round 2 and have to deal with with players recovering, and then also have to deal with the reschedule and finding time for that postponed game. So my best goes out to them. I don't want to forget about them, but the Prasparkas Cup was very exciting. And just the love that these two sisters had for each other and the competitiveness that they put on display. I think it's easy to get wrapped up in sometimes the fluffiness of stories, but they are two extremely good players who put on an extremely good show. I mean, was that not highlighted when Georgie tackled Maddie and then Georgie almost got taken off with a blood nose? Well, she did get taken off with a blood nose, sorry. But yeah, because Georgie had 29 disposals, Georgie had 15. That's some good games. But also, I also don't want to forget some of the other really exciting plays and other key matchups as well. I think that Meg Mcdonald and Darcy Vessio was just thrilling. They are two pioneers of the game. They've been there since the start. They're two big names, two big faces. They also live together as housemates, so we know that they're close friends. And seeing them go toe to toe, I mean, Darcy Vessio, they are one of the best players that we have, especially when it comes to goal scoring. They did not get a single goal because Meg Mcdonald held them back. Darcy was barely able to stake a claim on that ball, and that's all due to Meg Mcdonald. So that was also a really exciting matchup to watch. And then we can't not mention the very reliable Kerry Harrington, who had 100% disposal efficiency. I mean, she mopped up those ground balls like she was like just picking up flowers. It was so easy. It was so seamless. She's such a silky player, such a strong player, so pivotal to the Blues defense. I loved this game, and the Blues won, but Geelong made them work for it. We love to see it.
Definitely, for sure. The 100% disposal rate. Even I loved the social media that the social media put out that of AFLW. I thought that was absolutely fantastic how they did that. And I agree. And the Meg Mcdonald Darcy Vessio matchup was just so intriguing because every time it came in, who's going to win? Who is going to win it? And Meg Mcdonald is just such a great defender. She does not let anything go through. Darcy Vessio, an incredible player. It really was a fun matchup to watch those two go at it. And again, it's Geelong. This is a building block year that I think they're not going to win a ton of games, but they're going to get a lot of confidence with how they play teams like a Carlton, like they did North Melbourne. I think if I'm the coaching staff, you have to take positives even out of losses, because this is a young team. This is a team that is building. It has not had a lot of success over the last 2 seasons, but there is a ton of positives that are going to come out of these games, especially with a young superstar that's only going to grow with this young team in Georgie Prasparkas. And again, she learned things today. She learned things this last week that she's going to be able to use as the season goes on. I'm going to keep an eye on this Geelong team. They're fun to watch. They may not win a lot of games, but darn it, they're pesky and they're going to give you a game for sure. Jumping from a pesky game that got a little out of hand to, I'm going to say it, the best game of the round, because this fourth quarter was absolutely bonkers. As the first half, nobody could score there for a while. Both teams, it was very tackle, very defensive, and Gold Coast comes out of nowhere and it just, oh my gosh, what an incredible game. Was the Gold Coast Suns get a big 13-point win, 46-33. Can we just fast forward to the fourth quarter? Because, oh my God, that was incredible.
Yeah, when you say one of the best games, I'm going to say one of the best quarters, because the first, as you mentioned, the first half was a bit so-so, but This game, one for the absolute history books for the Suns. I am so excited for Gold Coast. I think we were all ready to see Gold Coast take a win like that. It broke their winning drought. It was their highest win in the club history for that women's side. And for their coach, Cam Joyce, it was his first lot of 4 points. It's a lot of champagne to pour, I think. But yes, a fantastic side. I think we have to mention Charlie Robottom, the other Rising Star nomination for the round. She is so dominant around stoppages. She's so composed, and she's really good at directing her teammates as well and helping them out. Also, one of my favorite players is Sarah Perkins, and I don't think she gets enough talk as she should. She's also really good at directing the team, just like Robottom is, but you could see her as one of the most experienced players on the field. You could see her telling her teammates, whispering in their ears, helping them out, directing them, and then also really embracing them when they had their wins. And I think both of those are equally as important, especially when we've got this younger side. And they played with so much intensity. I was so thrilled for them. Not as thrilled, though, would be the Eagles. Their coach Match said, Michael Pryor said, they've got some passengers in their current 21. And I think that's such a telling thing for a coach to come out and say, if you're going to be competitive, you need to have depth across your side. We've already talked about this, but the Eagles are really showing it even when they're fielding pretty much their best team. You need to have them firing. You need to have them being able to play their roles. They're playing Adelaide next week. You need to be in a bit of better state for that, surely.
Oh, and not a great one. It's just a debilitating loss. And another person that I specifically wanted to mention, I got it, Tara Bohannon. The long goal that she kicked, absolutely incredible. An incredible game she had, and Sermon too. Those two absolutely lit it up in the fourth quarter, and really kind of after the run the Eagles made. I think a lot of people even myself included, thought this game was over when the Eagles took their 12-point lead. And I was like, oh, you feel bad, because Gold Coast had been playing relatively well. It had been a close game. And then Sermon gets the one goal, Bohannon gets the nice mark, and then kicks the goal. And then it just kind of the floodgates opened on West Coast. Just an absolutely cracking game. And then to see the girls sing the song and douse each other with water and to enjoy it. And I'm so happy for the Suns. It's sad to see the Eagles fall the way they did, unfortunately. And I hope their coach can get a few things figured out. And unfortunately, with them having to hub here in Melbourne, I'm just hoping it doesn't derail this Eagles season so early in the year, because this could be a debilitating loss for any team. We jumped to it from a game that had an ugly first half and a spectacular second half to a game that was two of the best teams in the competition, as the Adelaide Crows get another big win over the North Melbourne Roos, 37-24. I have to say, this was incredible watch, because this was two really good teams just going toe to toe at each other. Physical, tough, hard game of footy.
Absolutely. One of the most highly contested games that I've watched so far this season. And there's a lot you can praise for both sides. Adelaide's one of the top ones. There's no doubt about that. And North feel right on the cusp. I think a lot of people are kind of touting Melbourne, Collingwood, Lions, and Adelaide as top four. I think North, they're just there. They just need a bit more of that depth, where it was like you could really notice Carney's loss last round, and you could really feel how pivotal it was this round. She's amazing. She's so important to that side. But if she's out, you need someone who can still lift the side. So I think if they get that depth, and if they get just a little bit more legs on them, and they felt a little bit ran over by Adelaide, especially in that last kind of quarter, they're looking great. I'm not going to hide my bias. I love the Crows. My dad is a Crow, so they've been in my life for a long time, and I was texting him the whole game. It's very exciting stuff. There's a lot to praise in that side, but I think we have to talk about Ash Woodland. In the season's predictions, I don't think she barely got a mention, if any, when we're talking about leading goal scorers. She's proving why she needs to be in that competition. She has 8 from the 2 rounds. That's 4 more. That's double more than her closest contenders. That's remarkable. And she does it with so much composure. She makes it look so easy. It's like she was born to kick goals. And I'm sure Adelaide are pretty chuffed to have her in that forward line. And the thing is as well, she's not even just alone out there. She's with Stevie Lee Thompson, got Erin Phillips kicking goals. What a strong side, the options to kick to. I don't know. Who would you pick if you're a midfielder?
There's so many. Again, the Crows are just embarrassing with their riches at their team. And it's another thing that I've said is that I think they have to go for it, because with Port Adelaide coming into the competition next year, who knows how many are going to switch sides. I mean, I know it's in South Australia, that's fighting words, I know, but it is something that I've even thrown up to a few Crows fans. I go that with the fact that Erin Phillips's dad was a Port Adelaide player, could we see her switch sides and play one more year and don that Port Adelaide jersey? So honestly, if I'm the Crows, that you got to go for it this year, because this is the last time you're going to see this incredibly built team at the Crows go for it. And they just showed their class. And again, I don't see too many teams with the depth that they have. Collingwood, maybe Melbourne. Like I said, those three teams, I think are the three deepest teams in this competition. North's there. I think they're just a little bit short when it comes to their depth. I think they don't have the youngest of talent coming in. They've got a lot of superstars that are getting up there. And I think that's kind of going to be their downfall again, kind of like it was last year. They got into the finals and they just didn't have everything that they needed to advance past that. We'll go to the last game of the round, sees the Freo Dockers win and a home game at Whitten Oval against the GWS Giants, 52-20. Again, this Freo team, yes, they've lost Sabrina Duffy. They're not as strong as they have been years before, but this team can put up points. My only worry I have for them is they kick too many points. They need to kick more goals.
Yeah, my biggest strength that I see for them is their fitness. They just have legs on them for days. I can't remember which player it was who gave the halftime press interview, but she was asked, how are you feeling? And she was just, oh, we've still got legs on us, we'll go out. It's like, mostly you see players like, trying to suck in oxygen, and she was just, no, we've got legs on us. And she's right, that team do. They are just outclassed when it comes to fitness. But when it comes to their downfall, you're absolutely right. They need to kick more accurately. They can get it up forward. They've got some really strong players up forward, but while they're getting behinds and not goals, it'll be their downfall, especially when they're going to come up against some more competitive sides like Melbourne and Collingwood. I think like North, they're right on the cusp of that being in that top four that we talk about, in that top four conversation. I'm sure some people have them in that top four conversation. They're a really experienced side. They're a strong side. They work really well together. Turbo's immaculate. The Antonios, brilliant. Houghton, you could just rattle off players for days, really.
Yeah, I have to say that Kiera Bowers is one of my favorite players to watch, because you can almost mark it up on your board. She's going to get at least 15 to 20 disposals, and she's going to have at least 10 tackles, and all of them are going to be crunching, and all of them they are going to feel. She's one of my favorite players to watch. Whenever Freo is on, I have to watch, because Kiera Bowers is always one of my other favorites. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much you listen to me. One of my other favorites is from Melbourne. I am a Lily Mithen fan. I love her. She is absolutely fantastic. I call her the human Super Bowl, because I swear you can bounce her off of anything. She gets right back up. She's right back ready to go. I absolutely love her. So I will be completely honest in my praise for those two. I love that. I love that toughness. That I absolutely love that for sure. Now we've come to the end of round two. Again, I feel kind of bad that you joined me on the round where we only get 6 out of the 7 games. So I feel kind of bad for it. So we'll burn a little bit of time. I've been keeping an eye on AFLW.com. I've been keeping an eye on it. I haven't heard anything. Have there been any talks, any rumors out there on, are the Doggies and Lions going to be able to go this week, or are we still kind of holding our breath going up as the week goes on?
I think we're going to be holding our breath for the entire season, to be honest. Even the other games, I'm kind of holding my breath for. No, at the moment, it's looking to go ahead. It's looking fine, but we'll have to wait and see. Ellie Blackburn and Bonnie Toogood, they have a podcast, Off the Leash, and that was on social media 2 days ago, saying they're cool, calm, and congested. So they're still recovering from COVID, but they're in good spirits and they were talking very hopeful about that. So hopefully we'll see them back out on the field soon, and hopefully we won't see any other of our favorites or anyone go down.
Yeah, it's almost one of those where it was like conveniently they had enough players down that they didn't have to play this week, because I was really worried for the Western Bulldogs going into this week with no Ellie Blackburn and some of the superstars that were out. I pray that they're back healthy very, very soon. You hate seeing games without the superstars. It puts a little bit of a taint on it. So we'll jump into it. I always love doing the tips. Again, we're gonna tip now. Again, we record this early in the week, so things have changed. Like last week, we tipped everything thinking we'd have a regular 7 game, and then we had the add-on. So things are going to be kind of so we say this with asterisks as of now. This is before Tuesday in Melbourne time. So here we go. Friday night, the Friday night game sees a very interesting one down to GMHBA as the Cats host the Pies. Who do you fancy in this one?
I say Collingwood snagging it, but I can see Geelong giving them a fight. I'm keen to see it. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but the Pies.
I am with you there almost 100%. I was going to say the same thing. I think the Pies win this. The Cats keep it close. The Cats just love to play tough games. I think they're going to push it, but just the talent in the midfield, Sabrina Frederick out front, it'll be, I think, just a little too much for the young but pesky Cats. We run into in Swinburne Center as the West Coast Eagles host the Adelaide Crows. Here's your ultimate butt kicking moment here. Do the Crows come in and hand the Eagles, on a silver platter, or does the kicking through the news media get the Eagles kind of a little bit of a jump on the Crows here?
No, the Crows have it. I always love to go for the underdog. I like to at least, give them a bit of a pep up. But as I mentioned, a bit biased when it comes to the Crows. And I'm happy to see them walk all over the Eagles in this one.
All right. Well, I'll use my line that I love to use. Any team that's got Aaron Phillips, it's hard to tip against. I'll go the Crows here. And I said it last week. This could get ugly quickly if the Crows are on, which they can be. We'll definitely have to see. The good old mighty fortress that is Casey Fields as the Melbourne Demons take on the St. Kilda Saints. And as I said last week, this rudderless St. Kilda Saints team, they are walking into a very, very difficult situation at Casey Fields. That's so hard to play there. Melbourne plays that ground so well. I think this is a D's win, and I think this is a big D's win.
Yeah, I think this will be a convincing Demons win. I almost wish it wasn't against the Saints for their first home game at Casey Fields, because as you mentioned, they just play so well at those grounds. We always love a home ground. You can feel it in the side. You can feel it in the fans. And I kind of wish that it was against a team that could be a bit more competitive. But I don't know. Maybe the Saints will come and surprise us all and put us in our place.
We hope. We'll cross our fingers and hope. Yeah. But the next game, I'm thoroughly looking forward to this. This could be game of the round. I'm going to say it right now. I don't think I'm jumping too high off a limb here. Richmond Tigers at home, Freo Dockers. I had some trouble tipping this one because I'm wholeheartedly love the Richmond Tigers, but I like Freo. I have a lot of friends that are Freo fans. Who do you have in this one?
Same as you. This one is so hard to tip. They are both two really good teams that are just below the absolute top ones, and they'll be fighting to prove their competitiveness. They'll be fighting for the win and to really stake a claim over the other. If it's Richmond home, I think that's just going to put it over the edge for me, and I'll tip the Tigers.
Okay,
but not convincingly.
And I'm the same way. I'm a head and heart guy. Like my head says Freo because I think Freo's got more experience. I think Freo, this is a good opportunity of bonding experience. They're on the road. They're going to be together. This is a great bonding experience. I think sometimes this can really bring a team together. But I like Richmond. I love the way they play. Like I said, Mon Conti is an absolutely incredible player to watch. The Hosking twins have been playing well. I just wish Ellie McKenzie was playing in this game. I really, really do, because I would feel much more confident tipping Richmond. I'm going to tip Freo on this. And here's why. Frio's conditioning and Frio's ability to add pressure, their speed up front, I think is going to give some issues for that Richmond backline, which is they're talented, but do they have the pace to stay with a Gemma Houghton and some of the speed that's up front? I'm going to tip Frio. I'm not super confident in this one because, as I've said, Frio at home, good. Frio on the road, sometimes they can be a little bit iffy. They're not as good on the road. Now, they've been in Melbourne. They've climatized to Melbourne. Hopefully, maybe, just maybe, we get a good performance. I'm going to tip Frio, but I may bounce back and forth on this tip before I finish in our tipping competition because this one is just too tough. I really wish I knew who was and wasn't playing because that one's going to be a tough one. I'm hoping this one goes to Metricon Stadium as we see the Q clash in the women's as the Gold Coast Suns take on the Brisbane Lions. A couple of weeks ago, I just said Brisbane Lions. I said Brisbane Lions easily. This Gold Coast team just continues to impress me. I like them. I'm going to tip Brisbane, but I think this is an absolutely cracking game. I think Gold Coast really puts the fear on a Brisbane team that I think may look a little rusty having not played last week.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The Lions might be a little bit rusty. I'm also tipping them. I think that they will be raring to go and raring to prove themselves, especially since round one they lost to Adelaide. That would have hurt. They're currently reigning premiers and they are bottom of the ladder. And that is because of the COVID protocols and having to miss a match. But being on 0 points when watching other teams, battle it out, I think that they are really going to be wanting to get those 4 points, put themselves on the ladder, start to rise a little bit. The Suns are looking good. As you said, they continue to impress, but I just don't think they have enough to beat the Lions. The Lions are just a top side and they're going to be so ready.
Yeah. And maybe this will be an emotional game for Brisbane because they'll get out there again, not having Danny, oh my gosh, I'm totally brain farting. I totally brain fade on the Dakota Dixon. I think she's going to be a big loss. She's going to be a big loss for them. That might be the only thing that I think may keep Gold Coast in this. Is I don't think Brisbane has the firepower up front that they normally would. Let's jump down to Arden Street as we see the North Melbourne Roos host the GWS Giants. GWS, a pesky team. I think North's just got a little too much on this. I'm going to tip North on this one.
We are agreeing all over the place. I'm also tipping North. I think they're a great side. They're just a little bit more competitive than the Giants seem to be at the moment. Let's go North Melbourne.
Alrighty. And the last one, I think this one could be quite intriguing, especially, and unfortunately, if Bonnie Too Good and Ellie Blackburn are not playing in this one, I think it really, really flips this one. Down at Whitten Oval, the Western Bulldogs taking on the Carlton Blues. Off of your podcast, I can assume, I'm not sure if they're going to play. Are you feeling Carlton in this one, or do the Doggies still have enough to get by the Blues?
I'm feeling Carlton. I just think that they're a step above the Western Bulldogs, especially if Western Bulldogs are still slightly depleted in players. They really rest on the back of a few key ones, and Body Too Good is crucial back in defence. If she's not there, I can see Carlton's forward running a riot, especially with Vessio, who we love. So, yes. And Carlton will be ready. They won against Geelong. They lost their first game. They really want to prove their competitive side this season, and they're going to be really fighting.
Yeah, and it's the rest versus rust argument. Do you want to have fresh bodies, or are you worried about the rust? I'm with you on this one. If Bonnie Too Good and Ellie Blackburn are not playing, I'm going to tip Carlton in this one. It's Ellie Blackburn is the backbone. Pardon my screaming here. Is the backbone of this Western Bulldogs team. I think she's not there. There's going to be a little emotion out of this team. They may be a little rudderless, a little bit like St. Kilda without Georgia Patricios there. So I'm going to tip Carlton in this one, but I really wish I knew if Bonnie Too Good and Ellie Blackburn were playing. I'd feel much more confident with that tip. So, and that's going to do it. Again, we're going to cross our fingers and hope all of these games play because we want to see 7 games of AFLW. The games have been absolutely fantastic. Marty, it has been absolutely amazing having you on. You've just been a breath of fresh air, an incredible addition to my co-hosting panel this year. I thank you so much for reaching out and joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. If you want me on again, always happy to talk footy. Always.
Awesome. Awesome. I may actually do that. So we'll definitely have to see for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode in the Donnie's Disposals AFLW round review. Round 3 will come up next week. I have an old friend coming back next week, and we will see you again next week.